welcome everybody. Joining you here tonight, right before Week 6, the Bears Jaguars. And David, I wanted to just kind of start this off by just kind of going at the title of what I named tonight's show, creating momentum. The Bears have a chance here to do something that we have not seen Matt Eberflus do in his tenure, and it's something that's necessary. We always talk about how this team, if you ever won a Super Bowl, you're going to have to win 3 playoff games in a row, and they haven't even gotten 3 victories in a row. If you go out there and you beat the Jaguars, this will be the first time in Matt Eberflus's career that this team would have strung together 3 wins in a row. And that's huge. To me, it's a statement thing. You need to be able to go out there and do that, especially coming off of a week where you had the opportunity to dominate a team, and you did. You went out there and did. And I know we kind of went back and forth on that when we talked about it on Saturday right before the game. You weren't so sure about it, about how it was going to go. And, I was saying the opportunity is there. This Panthers team is a bad football team. I mean, 12 men on the field on both sides of the ball. You're not going to face another football team all year that's going to get penalties like that, that's going to shoot themselves in the foot and allow you the opportunity to sit there and, put up big numbers and score a lot of points. So it's definitely a feel-good game for the guys in the locker room and everything like that. We aren't the ones that are going to get super overly excited. However, those were our expectations, or at least mine, and they have met them. Good. Check it off the list. Move on. Next thing to get is 3 wins in a row. So, however, I do have them as a 500 football team. I believe, after Week 6, I had them at 3-3. So, I don't know how confident I am in a win this week, but yeah, I want to get your opinions. What are you thinking, man?
There's a lot to unpack there. That's for sure. On the momentum side, yeah, it's like insanely vital that this team gets their first 3-game win streak in a row ever, possibly 4, possibly 5. Like, that's what you need to see from this team moving forward to even entertain the idea of Matt Eberflus sticking around, or this team just being, as it's constructed, sticking together. So let's hope it's the start of something nice. Being a Bears fan and knowing this team, I don't know, like, every week is a toss-up. Right. So even though this kind of momentum is building and it's giving us some confidence, some false confidence, maybe, I don't know. I mean, don't be surprised with a sloppy game against Jacksonville. And I say that as like, I hate myself sometimes when I'm like the pessimist on the show or pessimist in my just conversations, because it's easy to be a pessimist and then the team does well. And so you're just happy. And then so like you're wrong, but you're happy. So it's easy that way. But I was dead wrong about Carolina, and you were right, much more than I was right. It was a really good building experience, and the week of press conferences and things that I've heard so far from the Bears, my man crush on this team is building so hard, and I don't want to get too excited, but it's right there, and it just feels like it's right within reach of just getting super excited about this team and getting like that man crush, specifically on Caleb, because he's just awesome. And yeah, I mean, I don't see anything against Jacksonville that makes you question the matchup, right? You should dominate them on defense. The offense is probably better than their defense. Matt Eberflus and Doug Peterson is an absolute, I don't know what you call it, like a fucking fight between 2 morons. So it is what it is. If you win, you can only face your opponents. Jacksonville's not that great, but they've played at London, at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, whatever it's called, Wembley, a lot. And yeah, it's going to be a rough game, but it'll be fun to watch. And I'm dangerously close to just getting really emotionally upset when the Bears lose. Right now, I wouldn't be shocked by a Jacksonville win, and I wouldn't be like super upset about it. But I'm at the point where I'm dangerously close to getting really pissed off if the Bears start to suck again. I don't know. Well, I don't know if that adequately answered your question, but
it did. What's interesting is the Panthers were the last ranked defense in the league last week, and now they flip-flopped with the Jaguars. So going into this week, the Jaguars are now the last ranked defense. So the opportunity for another good offensive performance is there against this team. Brian Williams says Bill Murray pancakes Braxton's man, blocks two other players. Braxton's man still managed to get it. Caleb Legs get a new tackle, please. I mean, yeah, we saw Tevin Jenkins doing the same thing. That's kind of what they want that guard to do. We saw Tevin Jenkins doing it a lot more from the right guard spot than he was from the left guard. Listen, effort, fresh legs goes a lot in that position. And yeah, I liked what I saw out of Bill Murray. Braxton Jones, man, I think we've always been down the middle on him. Not the best, but he's not the worst, guys. Like, he really isn't. So, plays happen. You could point to that that guy still got to Caleb's legs, but it could be a lot worse at the left tackle position, in my opinion. I think
he's top 15, probably.
Yeah, I don't think that's the issue on our offensive line, but regardless, I think we do match up here really well against the Jaguars. And, if the plane ride home for Doug Peterson and the Jaguars after a loss from London, that guy might be on the verge of getting fired soon if that happens. So they're thirsty for a win. Like, they need to win. For them, they're starting to claw at desperation here from their point of view, and they might be willing to, pull out any trick they have. So I think it's going to be an interesting game. But as much as my preseason prediction, I said 3-3. My gut feeling right now is that we might be looking at a 4-2 football team after this week.
That would be wild, and it'd be awesome. I'm with you. My overall prediction, we're not trying to skip to the end of the episode right now. My overall prediction for sure is a win. I think you're just a better football team overall, talent-wise and all that. But it's going to be sloppy, and it's going to be interesting, and it's going to be different because it's one of those 8:30 games. Like, Bears fans, you got to wake up early and watch it on your TV, 9 o'clock in the morning. It's one of my favorite games of the year. Like, this sounds awesome. Just have a cup of coffee with the Bears game. It's going to be awesome. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't have an official prediction on this yet, and we can do that at the end. But it's definitely it's funny because Big Cat's one of our favorites. We love Big Cat. Everybody knows Big Cat. It's a Chicago guy. Every game he says every game is the most important game of the season. The next game is always the most important game of the season. It's always a must win. I agree because I have not seen a game that's going to kind of dictate the vibe of this team more than this Jacksonville game. Because you beat the shit out of the Panthers, and that was one of those games where it's over by halftime. But if you can do that against Jacksonville, we're all going to be freaking out, and it's going to be awesome. But if you just I always give you 3 examples. I remember even against Tennessee in the week 1 where we were all predicting how is this going to go? How's this win go? And then at one point we just stopped and said, what if we lose? And then we said, what if we lose by a lot? And then the first half was 21-0. So let's kind of put that in the Jacksonville perspective. If you win, you do what you did to the Jaguars, what you did to the Panthers, I think the hype train is going to get a little bit out of control, and it's going to be awesome. And I'm kind of all for it. I'm ready to be hurt again, right? Like that phrase. But if you win a close game, that's okay too. And then if you lose, if it's close, I guess it's acceptable, but not really. But if you get dominated by Jacksonville, it's unacceptable. And we're back. I think we flip-flop incredibly. It's an incredibly emotional game, I think, in this week with Jacksonville.
It's extremely important. It's very pivotal. You're right. This will set a huge tone moving forward, especially since we have the bye week afterwards. So whatever feeling we have at the end of this game is going to last for 2 weeks. Yeah. So we're going to fester over it. And it's much better to have a positive narrative there than a negative narrative. And, me and you, we're pretty just down the line critical. So even in a win, we'll sit there and point out the bad things. But when you do that, you always go, but we won. So it's fine. We can sit here and put whatever. At the end of the day, you won. And it's huge. That is the ultimate goal at the end of the day. So win this game. Win this game is what's important. Like I said, I would have been upset with a neck-to-neck game with Carolina. This one, I don't care. Just bring home a win. Get those 3 wins in a row. That's what's important. Set a tone. into the bye week. Those are all huge positive things. I think that needs to happen if you want this team to have success this year.
I fully agree with that. I don't care if it's the ugliest win in the world, if it's 20-19 or 7-6. I don't really care. As long as you get the win on this one. It's interesting because I didn't expect the team to be here, and I didn't expect the NFL to be here either, because this is the season that I've kind of come to terms with the fact that your record, me and you are big fans of Bill Parcells and your record. What's the phrase? You are what your record says you are.
Yep.
Right. So, yes and no, because me and you, we did a show yesterday when we kind of believe in the Vikings, but we kind of don't. We kind of believe in the Chiefs, but there's flaws. And then there's teams that you said the Bengals, you kind of still believe in, but they're a 1-4 team. That's a trash team on paper. They're the second
next
overall
4
pick.
weeks, man, I'm telling you, they're going to be 5-4.
Right. So that's why kind of like you are what your record says you are, but you're not this season. And it's kind of interesting but for the Bears, I feel like they're one of the most teams that you can apply that phrase to. If you're 4-2, people feel pretty good about the Bears, I think. They might start changing their tune. National media, people who are kind of on the fence, but especially like for us, for the doubters, for people who are a little bit more critical and a little bit more realistic, if Caleb Williams comes out, throws for like 300 yards, my man crush on Caleb Williams is growing exponentially week by week, and it's kind of dangerous. I don't get man crushes on quarterbacks, but
it's funny, David. I put together a quick short about what we said on Saturday. One of the things you said is Caleb's progressing faster than, any quarterback you've seen in recent time, and this and that. And I posted the video on Sunday after the game because I put the Panthers highlights to it, and people are like, calm down, guys. This was just the Panthers, this and that. Little do they know, that was recorded before the game. Yeah. Your man crush is there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was in reference of Caleb progressing through the games before Carolina. And then he did what he did against Carolina, and it just looked excellent. And then the press conferences come out from this week, and it's exactly what we asked for, man. Or at least what I asked for. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm so sick of the nice guy quarterback. I'm so sick of having a nice guy who's a hard worker, but he sucks. And so you just kind of have to deal with it, and you just hope he gets better. And like
DJ Moore called him bossy.
Dude,
like,
yeah. This is the cutest gay couple I've ever seen in my entire life. They're just like, he's sassy, he's bossy. Did you hear that? So he called him bossy, and Caleb in return called him sassy. I'm like, yes, absolutely. Like we joked about this with Justin Fields. This would be hilarious. But dude, I mean, Caleb Williams, 6 weeks in, just running the offense, telling people where to go. It's unheard of. And especially in Chicago, it's unheard of. And it gives me these kind of like, it's what we said. I'm so sick of the nice guy quarterback that is just a hard worker. We heard that about Mitch, and we had to turn the TVs off. We heard that about Justin, and, we just couldn't let his personality out. Like, are we concerned about Caleb's personality? Absolutely not. We know exactly who Caleb is. He's awesome. And now on top of it, he's kind of a dick, and he's running the show. This is exactly what we wanted. So for people to kind of pick and choose and all that stuff, like, I don't know, man. Like, you signed up for this package, and we did too. I'm all in, and I'm tempering my expectation. It's I can't be hurt again, right? Like, it's my rebound girlfriend. Like, I can't do it, man. I can't be hurt again. But yeah, I'm so ready to be hurt again.
It is so different. We talked about the eye test being important, and one of the things with the eye test that I mentioned was control over the offense. How comfortable are you? And there's things that he's shown, and this is all off the stat sheet, which is why I hate when people do nothing but use stats. Like, no, you need to apply the stats to, a conversation and a point that goes along with your eye test in order for things to make sense. But regardless of the stats, those are things that Justin Fields is miles away from doing. Right? Which is when I looked at him, it's like, man, we got a long way to go for that quarterback to get to where I want my quarterback to be. What I'm seeing out of Caleb early on is the things that you want from a franchise long-term quarterback. Run the damn show. You are the most important player on the field. Period. You are the guy that has the most impact and effect. And yeah, he's doing a decent job. You know what I mean? There's still going to be some bumps and bruises along the way. But this kid's already had 200-300-yard games. Like, that's awesome. That's great. You know what? I was even doubtful of a 4,000-yard season. Hell, he might reach it. He might. It's within realistic possibility at this point, based off what I've seen and the way he's playing. Am I going to predict it? No, but it makes me feel a lot better about my 3,500-yard prediction too. That he's able to go out there and do these things. He's just going to crush all rookie quarterback records that we have, and therefore the future is going to be very bright. It's not so much about this year for me as it is, I think, the next 3 years after this that are truly going to be the window of opportunity for success, in my opinion. That's why I'm kind of willing to take the hits this year and not feel crazy bad about them. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know.
Like I said, I'm just too apprehensive to get into the man crush mode, but it's happening whether I wanted to or not. So I'm with you. If he gives me another, dude, God forbid he gives me like a 400-yard game next week against against Jacksonville, or this Sunday against Jacksonville, he gets like 400 yards and like 3 touchdowns. We're that game away from everybody losing their mind, because it is also on the horizon and it is a possibility at this point in the rate of progression that he's going through. Like a bad defense, like CJ Stroud had like a 500-yard game.
I asked you this a couple weeks ago. I'm curious to see if you remember the answer. Last Bears quarterback to string 300-yard games.
Yeah, Brian Hoyer.
Yeah, Brian Hoyer. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I remember that one.
Right. So, yeah, that's where we're at, folks. Like, let's, we're on the verge of turning the page on this whole Bears quarterback thing. And that's why,
I think we already did, dude.
You think he's shown enough?
I think I don't know. Maybe. I think in this early, yeah. I don't know if we've seen enough long term, but we've had this argument before, and we had it last night with a different channel, where the Jaden Daniels experiment, and everybody's freaking out about Jaden Daniels, and I watched that from afar. And sometimes you're too close to the situation, but I don't think we ever are with the Bears, right? Me and you are always kind of one step back from our emotions for Bears evaluation kind of thing. And that's what kind of puts us in that certain category of like, we never predict 12 or 13 wins until we're ready to. We've never done it in 2-3 years of us talking. We've always been able to take a step back and kind of analyze from afar. From afar, see much more out of Caleb Williams than I see out of Jaden Daniels. And I'm ready to say that, and I'm ready to predict that. So when I say that, I mean, if we're talking about exponential growth, and one of my favorite people I listen to is Ben Solak, and he's like, growth is never a straight line. It's never, it's going to be this way on the screen. It's never a straight line in this direction. It's always like up and down and up and down. Caleb has only been up. So for sure, there's going to be a down slope at some point. I don't think it's against Jacksonville necessarily. Might be against somebody else who's just kind of like game planning for him. But I mean, we're talking about a guy who's the number 2 quarterback against the blitz in the league through 6 weeks. That's not a small sample size. It's not huge, but it's not small. And we're talking about the second best quarterback against the blitz through 6 weeks. So
Book of World, I think they actually might wind up drafting a quarterback. Maybe they might consider it. So we'll see. That conversation will pop into the national media.
Happen.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. But as you were saying, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
off.
off.
I mean, I'm that question threw me off, and your answer to it threw me off.
Oh,
they're
really?
never going to move on from Lawrence. Yeah, they're never.
Yeah, they are.
No, they're not.
They could.
Hey, dude, they just paid him like the second highest money ever.
I understand, but
no, he's there for.
They'll get rid of the
years.
coaching staff first.
Absolutely.
But
they'll give him a 3 year.
Depends on how bad you are, dude. If you have the first overall pick this year,
he might not get that third contract, but yeah, he's gonna.
You're telling me you wouldn't entertain the thought of drafting a quarterback if you had the first overall pick as the Jaguars?
No.
Okay. See, I feel a little
No,
different.
I think you're going to keep supporting Trevor Lawrence.
That's fair, but I think it could. I think it could go the other way. So I don't know.
You know,
Depends. Depends. I think it depends on a
yeah.
lot.
It also
I get what
depends
you're
on the
saying.
coach, the boldness of the coach. If it's like you hire Bill Belichick and he's like, this guy sucks, so and then you just like hire, you pick up another quarterback and you just start trading Trevor Lawrence for wherever you send him to Miami or something.
Yeah, but Lawrence isn't going to get that because he's not problem number one. It's Doug Peterson that's going to be problem number one, and then
Probably so.
they'll move on from that problem and try and see if they could save Lawrence as the most likely option.
Yeah,
but
either way, my point is you could have titled this episode like "We're dangerously close to falling in love" right now. Like we're dangerously close.
Very long title. I'm trying to keep it to 2-3 words, David.
Right. Like we're at the point where I don't know, man. Like if I see 2 or 3 more weeks consistently of Caleb Williams doing the same stuff, I think we got a top 10 quarterback for sure in the league. I mean, he's already demonstrated like top 15, but
I struggle to do the whole league thing. I'll take a smaller focus. Let's talk about the NFC. Okay, he has a chance to be top 2, top 3 in the NFC, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and that'll get you a long, long way. And so we talk about quarterback progression, like you mentioned, Jaden Daniels. People will back it up with stats. Statistically, he may look better than Caleb Williams, but you got to, like I said, pair that up with the eye test and situationally. NFC East sucks, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like that division's no good. Washington's
opponents have sucked.
Yes, so good for him. However, like I said, it's not always about the instant success. I always bring up this example because it's so good. Nick Foles and Peyton Manning. Nick Foles had like 28 touchdowns in his first year starting. Peyton Manning had 28 interceptions in his first year starting. Which one wound up being the better quarterback? Right? Mm-hmm. Like, so it's not about what happens instantly. It is about you being able to learn from your mistakes. Obviously, having the opportunity and the room to make mistakes. Dude, Tom Brady had a 4 interception game in his second year. It was like week 2 or week 3. Okay, just don't have them anymore. Like, you know what I mean? Don't be Jay Cutler being like, no, I'll go out there and do it again. That's not growth. That's stubbornness. Learn from shit. And like, yeah, you're going to go out there. You're going to have bad games. You're going to, do bad. A lot of it's clutch time too. And that's another thing I like that I'm seeing out of Caleb Williams. This last game against the Panthers, they had 1 minute to go before this half, and they were able to score. It's like
that blew my mind.
Good. Like that's something we haven't seen a lot in the past. And that's awesome. Clutch.
That was one of the things that I genuinely couldn't believe. I thought, in all transparency, I had like people over for that game and I was cooking. I was grilling outside and somebody said like, oh, we just went up 28 to like 6 or 28 to 7. And I was like, oh, okay. So the halftime ended while I was grilling. And then second half started, we went up 28 to 7 at the beginning of the second half. I get back, I bring in the steaks and the hot dogs and everything. And then halftime's on. And I was like, what are you guys, how is halftime on? We just scored. They're like, no. We scored in the last like 47 seconds. I was like, that's never seen that before. Like I haven't seen that in like 5 years. So yeah, that blew my mind. It's little things like that
we went from not giving Justin Fields a chance to even run a drive before the half.
I think
you know what I mean.
That was a couple years ago. That maybe it wasn't us giving Justin Fields chances. It was Justin Fields just blowing the chances.
Well, right, but like that's what I mean. To now just having a kid go in there and command it and have success while doing it, it is a night and day.
6 games in, man.
Dude, it's nice. It's really nice. And so, like I said, that is why this game is important. That is why this game's got, subtly a lot riding on it. If he can go out there and just dominate again like that, oh man. Or like I said, I'll even take a neck-to-neck win, just come out with a win. But if it's a good-looking win too with that, oh man, there's going to be so much positivity and hype. And I think just with the way he handles himself, with the way he carries himself, with his confidence, in getting better, I think we have a really bright future with this kid, man. I hope I don't have to buy another quarterback jersey again. Like, I hope I can just keep this Williams one for a good long time.
Yeah. Well, and then this is going back into what we've been preaching all summer, and the comments that I sent you today where I was just like, this just makes me so excited, is DJ Moore coming out and saying, like Caleb Williams being a little bit bossy and telling me where to go and what to do. And then Caleb's response to that is like, some guys you can yell at and some guys you can tell like, hey, dude, you messed this up and you got to be in the right spot. Dude, like I can't remember the last time we've had that opportunity to have a guy who just knows exactly what he's doing and telling us what to do and where to go. King Book. I'm not really sure what that comment means. King at Mass have been saying it for 2 years. Trevor Lawrence maybe being bad. I don't know. Oh, Bryce Young to Miami. Yeah, a few people have been saying that just because Mike McDaniel needs like a system pocket quarterback and everything. But dude, Caleb Williams just, I don't know, man. Like we're like 1 or 2 games away from having a official opinion on Caleb Williams. And the official opinion can be just like 1 more year, a different offensive coordinator, a different head coach. Or we could just be freaking out about how despite the fact that Shane Waldron is not the greatest offensive coordinator, this guy's just making chicken salad out of chicken shit. And yeah, I don't know. I'm going to keep going ranting off, but like the command and the ability of him to just kind of dictate what's going on, it's so refreshing, and it's something I haven't seen in my lifetime here. And it's something that I think is incredibly rare in the NFL as well. I think even when you hear about the top tier quarterbacks, about like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, like I would put him in that category of like Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes at this point, in this terms of don't, I'm not trying to misquote and like say he's as good as those guys, but that like command of the offense, this guy's 7 games in, he's 6 games in, he's telling people where to go, what to do. That's refreshing. He knows what he wants. We said this with the Tom Brady and Julian Edelman story over and over and over and over the summer. Sometimes the quarterback is the one who needs to tell you what to do and where to go over anybody else because he knows what he wants. This is what's going to make us look good. This is what's going to make you successful and me successful. Do what I'm telling you. I'm in charge here. This is what it is. And I'm ready for that. I'm personally ready for that. Even if it fails, I want to see that more than I want to see another nice guy.
David, it's kind of gone viral a little bit, and I know you've seen it because I made 2 videos where I started the videos off with this, where I believe it's the center, Coleman Shelton, calling out
fire, man.
Yeah, calling out one of his calls that he sees. We got a fucking fireman. Do you know what came after that?
I know. I got it.
Caleb Williams. I know. I see what you're seeing, man. I got it. I know. That's huge, man. Like the center's letting you know. I already, yeah, I'm on the same page with you. I already know. Already processing that. Awesome. Fucking awesome. One of the things we did talk about in the preseason was, I know you mentioned, you're like, you know what? Because I always say it takes me 3 years to fully evaluate a quarterback. And you're like, yeah, but I'll have a pretty good idea 6 games in. Yeah, this kid's not a bust. No way. No way. So, he's going to keep getting better. He's going to keep growing. The question is, will he grow into a superstar? Because he's definitely shown that he's got everything capable of doing that. And yeah, so I wanted to ask you about the schedule, because the schedule is set up in such a weird way. We've never really had a schedule like this where all these division games are at the end. I thought this would benefit us from the angle of giving our offense time and opportunities to gel in the first 8 games without having that divisional game pressure on it. And so that way we enter in the back half of the season, as experienced as we possibly can on offense. However, we're seeing teams like the Vikings get off to a really early hot start. And do you think that actually all benefits us because they might cool down at the end of the season? Like, they can't possibly keep this up. Do you think it benefits us from the injury standpoint? Some of these teams might be a little bit more beat up when we actually face them. So do you think it's even more beneficial than we originally thought for a variety of reasons? Or do you think that going into it with the Vikings being like a powerhouse team or something might actually hurt us? How do you feel about all that?
This is why me and you just absolutely despise the commentary on strength of schedule. We have always said that strength of schedule is absolute nonsense. And as I think the Bears season shakes out, this is what it's a perfect demonstration of it. Like Tennessee is probably bad, but they're mediocre and they're in the middle. And as we go through the schedule, we have like Commanders and Cardinals and Patriots and Packers. Yeah, these were good teams on the slate on paper, but it really doesn't matter because you have to hit them at the right time with the right health injuries and stuff like that. Yeah, for sure. This schedule 100% benefits the Bears. Whether or not that's a good thing for us long term, and like let's say you win too many games, the Eberflus sticks around and nothing changes and we stay stagnant. It is what it is. I guess let's get to the playoffs before we start thinking Super Bowl. But yeah, for sure, because the Vikings I think are a nice idea. Will they maintain it? I think everybody in the NFL at this point is just like, okay, every single game, the more you do it, the more we believe in you. But I think everybody's waiting for that other shoe to drop. Packers wise, I think the more the Packers go on in the year, I think there's just more paper. There's more tape to kind of analyze on them. And I don't know how I feel about the Packers right now. They are the same record as us. It is what it is. And then in terms of Detroit, Detroit, yeah, for sure. They're a powerhouse and they're always steady. So the best case scenario is that we catch them at the end of the year when we're on a hot streak and they're dealing with some sort of injuries or a low streak. So I think the schedule shakes out the best case scenario for this year being successful. I think the NFL schedule makers know what they're doing with that in the sense of knowing Caleb Williams is interesting. There's a lot of primetime games at the end of the year. So we're going to see that for sure. But
you know what's really funny?
I feel like it's working out best for us.
Like really funny. So you know me. I like to go into history and kind of look at historical analytics to kind of drive some of my points sometimes, and just because history repeats itself and there's tendencies and things like that. So teams that have gone 5-0 and missed the playoffs, right? Since 1990, it's only happened 6 times. 93, the Saints, they finished 8-8. 2003, the Vikings finished 9-7. 2009, the Giants finished 8-8. 2009, the Broncos finished 8-8. 2015, the Falcons finished 8-8. And you know who the last one was? 2016.
5-0 team.
They missed the playoffs.
5-0 team that missed. Chargers.
The Vikings. Again.
No way.
8-8. So if anybody is experienced in going 5-0 and missing the playoffs, it's actually the Vikings more than anybody else. So it would be kind of hilarious, in my opinion, to have them on that list.
Yeah,
for a third time, because that would just kind of be wild. But yeah, so it doesn't happen too often, but it does happen. These teams can flutter out, and I know we all remember the 7-3 year with Jay Cutler when we were playing against the Chargers, and he ran down a pick six, hurt his thumb, and we went 9-7 that year. We only won 2 more games that year after that.
Right.
So you can definitely be a hot team and still mess it up at the end of the year. So that's what I'm hoping for now, man. I'm hoping that these teams in our division that are hot, like the Vikings, kind of cool off, come back down to earth, man. Sam Darnold is not the league MVP. That's just he is right now.
Can't happen, right?
It's not going to pan out. It's just not. There's no way. I don't know. I can't get behind it and believe it, but maybe that's just me. But
so, I guess to kind of combine that question with the future of the season, do you see progress with a Bears team? Because my biggest concern, and yet again, I'm going to call myself out when I'm wrong, and I think it's my Luke Getsy PTSD of I never had confidence in Luke Getsy to change week to week, to change his game plan. Are the Bears actually improving in terms of consistency, in terms of game plan, in terms of what they're doing fundamentally as a team? Or do you think this is just kind of like Shane Waldron getting bullied? Or is he actually maybe a decent offensive coordinator who's actually learning from his mistakes and kind of changing the way his team should play based on what he needs to do?
I think that the Bears have been in a great situation for the offense to be able to grow, because they are a defensive-led team, and that defense has been showing up. It has been doing its job. It's been getting turnovers. They've been getting pressure. They've been doing their part in the game. And so that makes it a lot easier when you don't have to completely lean on the offense, and it gives the offense a little bit more room to be able to make mistakes and still have the games be fine. And so I think just situationally, that allowing Caleb to grow, I think, is the most important factor. I think if Caleb gets good, then Shane Waldron is good enough to call plays and have success. I think there's a lot of coordinators in this league that are good enough. I think there's very few coordinators that take quarterbacks and elevate them through play calling and things like that. I think most of the time it's the other way around. I think most of the time you have the quarterbacks that are looked to make their play callers look good in a way through, you know what I mean? I don't know. I tend to give more credit to the guys on the field all the time. So there's definitely ways that offensive coordinators can make it as hard as possible for a quarterback to look good. I don't think that's what we have going on. So I don't think it's a complete dumpster fire. And as long as you're flexible in your philosophy and in your thought, then communication goes a long way. I think Caleb's not afraid to communicate, even 6 weeks in. You know, we saw Justin being a very reserved guy. No, Caleb's getting it out there. I think if he's got a problem, it's going to be known and hopefully addressed and fixed, right? So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how stubborn Shane Waldron is. I know Luke Getsy was pretty stubborn, which doesn't usually go a long way. Mike Martz was the worst. Like, no, this is just what we're doing, period. There is no fluctuation. That's not what I think we have here. I think, and I hate using this because I'm not the wait more, give it time guy, but obviously this thing is all still very fresh, right? So if we're looking to have success with this, I think it's going to be in years forward. This year, they'll figure a lot of stuff out. But I think they are. I think they are figuring stuff out. I think you could see that. I don't think they're stagnant.
It also depends on how they as a team are looking at it, because Doug Kramer being fullback for 2 weeks is either adorable and Matt Nagy levels of a gimmick, right? It's either a Matt Nagy gimmicky, putting Akeem Hicks at fullback, putting in I forget what his name was, but number 79, when they were doing like Santa's sleigh and all that bullshit with Matt Nagy. And it could be adorable and a gimmick. Or it could be just like, these are the bodies that we have. And this is the things we need to achieve. We need to throw heavy duty, big bodies at goal line sets. And this is how we're going to win moving forward. That would be the awesome, positive version of what we've seen in the last few weeks in terms of progression and growth. The negative side of that is like, is Luke Getsy, Jesus Christ, is Shane Waldron just kind of getting pressured into like, okay, guys, well, we have some goal line sets that we want to run, but now it's like 3 weeks later and we got this under control. We're back to running speed options to the outside. So I hope that's the tush push, but like, I don't know if that's necessarily, that's not a tush push, because that's a system that everybody runs, right? As like a goal line I form and have a big guy and the biggest guy in your team. It's like, it's more of a Jim Harbaugh type situation. I feel like it's just big man beats big man, and let's get some fucking yards and let's pound this rock. The second part of that, I think that, and this is something I've questioned for myself, so I'd like to hear your opinion on. Yes, we don't know what Shane Waldron's doing, and it's like you said, patience. If we see Shane Waldron progressing and doing some smart stuff for like 3-4 more weeks, I think I'll feel a little bit better. My question for you is, we say all the time, defense is super fickle. It's like the 2018 Bears team that went to the playoffs with Trubisky and all that stuff. Like, that was awesome. And then everybody in 2019 was like, we're going to do that again. We're going to have 8 pick sixes just like last year. Is what the defense is doing right now sustainable, or is this them peaking and we expect the defense to have the natural drop off as they do?
So sustainable for this year?
Sure.
Yes.
Let's finish this year before we move on to next.
Yes. Defense year to year is what's hard to sustain, right? Like that's the real trick there, to be like a top defense every year. However, when you're rolling and you're going hot, man, yeah, you can make this thing last till the end of the year, no problem. And I think a big positive is actually, that defensive end position opposite of Montez Sweat. we had a huge opportunity there for somebody to come in and succeed. And the way we addressed it was with a fifth round pick for Austin Booker and a 6th-round pick for Darrell Taylor. And both those guys have taken that opportunity and done a lot with it. They are creating pressure from that other side, and that's very, very, very beneficial. Like, that's one of those things that's actually improving our defense and helping it grow and flourish. We still have a very young secondary, but a very tough, good tackling secondary. They don't let many guys get past them. I mean, I'm really actually kind of surprised with how well they tackle. It's all you're finding very little broken tackles from guys that are being hit by the secondary, and that is a very good thing. And like I said, they're all on their first contracts, except for Kevin Byard, right? But you have and Jalen Johnson obviously just got paid, but like
what an upgrade. Nobody's ever really talked about this. This is the first time even I've heard of it, and it's me saying it. What an upgrade Kevin Byard was over
extremely
Eddie fucking
because
Jackson.
Now what you have is you have Kevin Byard being the safety blanket and Jaquan Brisker being the guy that's able to take risks. And I think he's proven, like, he was a sack leader.
He's better at it.
He's much better at it, where before it was Eddie that's got the gut feeling and is going to go in.
And his gut feeling was like,
and
correct.
Jaquan had to be the safety blanket. And so those roles have kind of switched, and I think it's for the better. And Kevin Byard being, a long-time player in this league is much better at being a safety blanket, much more patient. It's a very, very, very good addition to this defense. And you're right, it's made a huge difference. Allowed the guys in the secondary to play a little bit more aggressive and flourish. And so, yeah, like I said, Kyler Gordon, Tyreek Stevenson, they're on the rookie deals. Same with Jaquan Brisker. Those are 3 guys that are still very young. So, this could still stay consistent for sure. And I mean, year to year, it's got the potential to. Till the end of this year, yeah, I think they're playing lights out. I think they're going to continue that. Hell, man, add another weapon on the D line if you can. I know they're not available, but that would really.
Trey Hendrickson is definitely available.
That would, I mean,
let's say if the Bengals lose this week, there is I'm going to say there's a 95% chance Trey Hendrickson is not on this team. Dude, I know we said this yesterday. If the Bengals go 1-5, I'm in the boat of, I think Jamar Chase gets traded.
Yeah, I mean, he's on their books for a lot, right?
They can't pay Joe. They can barely pay Joe Burrow. I don't think they can pay Jamar Chase and Trey Hendrickson as well.
So this is the problem you get to. Like, the quarterbacks didn't take up so much of the cap. You need to make wide receivers out of no names, not have big names as wide receivers, because it just never works out that way. So, I mean, yeah, dude, I think the Kansas City model tells you trade Tyreek Hill away and get 2 first-round picks back. I think you trade Jamar Chase away, especially if you're having a season where if you're 1-5 and you have no shot, like you're saying, if you lose this next game and you have absolutely no shot, yeah, get some draft capital back in return and start retooling this thing, right? I mean, that's what makes the most sense. So, yeah, we talked about the trade deadline and how it's hard to predict those things because you need to find those teams that wind up being in situations where they thought they were going to be good and they're not. And so, yeah, the Bengals are primed to, like you said,
them and the Browns,
yeah, if they lose one more game, exactly. The Browns too, man. The Browns,
the Bears 2 weeks ago were the Browns, but with a young quarterback, and that's the big difference. And that's so funny because that's what you could be if you held on to. Like, I'm sorry, I don't want to beat this dead horse again, but like the quarterback makes every difference, man. Like, the Browns defense is the Bears defense. The Browns offense is borderline the Bears offense. It's just, what's the difference is one has Deshaun Watson and one has Caleb Williams.
And one's paying the quarterback 25% of their salary.
Yeah.
Right.
And can't get rid of them.
It's rough, man. It's very rough. If I'm Kevin Stefanski, I want to do everything I can to get fired from Cleveland.
If I'm Kevin
Stefanski, I don't want to quit.
Kyle Shanahan, I want to come to Chicago.
You think Kyle Shanahan would want to come to Chicago?
If he gets fired, yeah. I don't think there's any job in the NFL that's more appealing than the Bears. If if it's a job that's available next offseason, I don't think there's any job or situation more appealing than the Bears.
Wow, man. Yeah, I mean, but it's probably not going to be available.
Fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how Matt Eberflus finishes this season, I think you're gonna hit a ceiling eventually with that guy. But to kind of answer my own question with what I asked you, I think this defense, and then I want to make fun of Matt Eberflus so badly for hits principles and all that stuff, but like, Jesus Christ, 3 years later, everything he says that he wants to do as a team, he's doing it. Hustle into the ball. Nobody's taking plays off. It's just like back to 06 Bears where, you see those highlights where like 6 guys are just jumping on top of one running back and it's just never going anywhere. And I wanted to make fun of Matt Eberflus so bad, so early. And I agree. I think generally speaking, he's still he's in the bottom 30% of the coaches in the league. If there's 32 head coaches, I think he's in that bottom 12. There's 20 head coaches probably that make more of a difference or an impact than he does. But I mean, it's working on defense. At least he's probably going to, if he gets fired, he's going to be an absolute elite defensive coordinator for somebody.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. And, as long as the players are buying in, that's what it is. I don't think the system has to be very complex or complicated. It can be simple, but everybody's got to be on the same page. And so, like I said, in the past, maybe I did kind of undervalue the team not falling apart when they should have. You know what I mean? And stringing together and constantly, because after that Lions game where they had the 28-point lead and they gave it up, so they're not ever going to play that hard again. And they did. They came out the next week against the Vikings and had 4 more turnovers. So, maybe that is valued a little bit more because these guys are playing tough, man. They're playing real tough for him, and this is a defensive-led team. And I don't think it's the most complex defense either, man. They're not doing anything special out there. So, but they do have guys that could get to the quarterback from multiple positions. You got a corner in Gordon that could get to the quarterback. You got a safety in Brisker that could get to the quarterback. You could splice in, and they have been now some weird blitzes, and they have been working. And Billings, man, Billings might be my favorite player to watch on that defense. I know it sounds funny, but like just going through the tape and putting videos together and stuff, seeing the fat man go, man. And he does not get, I guess I have also a soft spot for fat people. Okay. Right. But like, he does not take a play off. Guy hustles, has success, and just seeing him even get to the quarterback last game was awesome.
Very Keith Trailer like.
Yeah, that guy's actually a very underrated signing. We always talk about the free agents we got. We never mentioned Billings. He's made a big impact on that defensive line.
He's what the Raiders need right now.
Zach Pickens has been MIA.
Yeah.
And that's a high 3rd round pick. And I wanted to mention this to you. It's funny because like it's not really talked about because, well, like Valens Jones was a 3rd round pick. Why is he talked about? Well, because you keep giving him chances when he messes up. Zach Pickens has kind of been MIA, but he hasn't been put in the most important situations in the game.
Oh, he's also hurt.
Yes, he's also been hurt, but it's not talked about. It's not that big of a deal. So that's why it's okay to cut those players sooner than later, in my opinion. And that's why I like the Velas thing. The more you drag that out, the worse of a thing it becomes. And like, yeah, dude. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
Dude, yes, that's exactly. We all know King Book and I are like literally imagining this play from Twitter right now. Just like big old Keith Trailer, just kind of.
For sure. And
rumbling down the field.
Yeah, but as I was saying, this defensive line, Dexter has been showing up too. We got some good pressure up front, and it's important. They're clicking. They're really clicking, and I don't know. I like what I've seen.
It's one of the biggest conversation pieces that we had in the offseason, and it's just absolutely irrelevant now that the season has started. Is like, who's your next pass rusher? Who's going to be the guy getting pressure? It doesn't matter. The rotation is so solid that every single play, there's just a solid amount of pressure. That's probably the strongest part of your defense at this point. And it is, it's one of those things where we need to say I'm sorry kind of thing, like everybody
Yeah.
does. The national media, local media, that was like one of the big three concerns. Everybody needs to say like, sorry, you guys did have it under control. Everybody was wrong. DeMarcus Walker was enough. Austin Booker was enough. Darrell Taylor,
My God.
holy shit. That guy,
So,
like that
so
was
worth the 6. So
what
worth
a
the 6.
insane trade. Dude, that one gets me excited because I remember watching the Panthers game last week and I'm just losing my mind watching Darrell Taylor. And then I see 91 out there and I'm like, who the hell is 91? It's Chris Williams from the Browns for 7th round pick swap.
That's
And
right.
he's
I forgot
doing a
about
good
him
job.
altogether.
And he's legitimately playing and they're all playing well. So credit where credit's due. That's one of those conversation topics where we were all ready to shit on him and we just have nothing else to say.
No, yeah, for sure. So, yeah, hats off to them. Credit to them. Hopefully that we can keep that up for sure. So, yeah, I know we got our predictions out at the start of the show.
Let's do some official ones though.
All right. You want to start?
Yeah, I mean, not really, but yeah.
Okay, I'll start.
I'll do it. Here's where I wanted to kind of like point out though. It's not going to be as offensively driven as most people think. The soccer fields in England and in Europe are not football fields. They are not built for that level of like hard cut move, jump action, kind of stop start. It's going to be a much lower scoring game than anybody thinks it is. It's going to be a defensive battle, which plays in favor to the Bears. So I don't see a high shootout. I would love to, though. I would love, like, nothing would get me more excited than seeing like a 300-400 yard game from Caleb. Ant Mass, you're not far off from what I'm predicting. I actually predict a little bit more domination than most people do. I think the Jags are worse than people think. And what they're good at, the Bears are great at shutting down. I'm going to say it's like 17-10 Bears.
Okay, so we're not far off because I also think that the Jaguars are desperate. And like I said, desperate teams sometimes, will give it everything they got. And it's a weird time frame for us. They're a little bit more used to it. However, I'm with you. I was predicting 20-13. 20.
So 7-point game.
Yeah, 7-point game. So I could see 2 touchdowns, 2 field goals from the Bears, a touchdown, 2 field goals from the Jaguars. And so, yeah, 20-13. But we'll see. I don't think it's going to be, like you said, I don't think it's going to be a shootout or a domination game like it was last week. I think it's going to be much closer than that. But I do have the Bears coming out on top. I do think like I said, 3 victories in a row. We need it. The only other time in the schedule where I think it's going to be possible might be, what is it? We face, is it the Cardinals? Somebody else?
Commanders, Cards, Patriots.
No, Cards, Patriots, Packers, I would think would be more likely.
Yeah.
But yeah, that little stretch right there, maybe. But yeah,
you and your Packers obsession this year is going to be the death of you.
I don't care. We need to beat them twice.
Yeah, cool fantasy, bro.
I'm gonna keep it. Yeah, I don't have many of them, so I'm gonna hold on to that hope until it doesn't happen. And that's what's gonna drive me. They're our last game too, right? Or no?
Yep.
Yeah. So that'll motivate me all the way through
I'm not going to entertain the negatives and say what happens if we lose, but like you said, let's go into this bye week with a win and feel really good about 4-2 for 2 full weeks because God, I need it so badly.
I think we all do. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't have anything else to say. Do you?
No, I think it's been a pretty mundane week, all things considered, and it's been just kind of a wait and see approach this week, and I think we're both kind of even, hinting at it in just this episode where it's just like, man, we need to see one more week and then we can get excited and get hyped up, or we can get back to being depressed. But right now we saw so much that we liked that we want to get excited, but we don't want to overhype ourselves. And then if we see something that we really hate, we can go back to being negative Nancy's. But
I mean, it's all about consistency.
Dude, this game's so important. It's so fucking important. It's not.
This whole league is about consistency. It's like everybody's got flashes. They're all athletes. They're all NFL teams. Like you said, nobody's about to go 0-17 here. It's any given Sunday for any team. There's always a chance that any team can win any game It's just, what is that chance? Sometimes it's a lot lower than other games, but the good teams are just consistent. And that's what it is. It's about developing consistency and not being dependent on flashes. And so let's do that. I kept saying, I want to talk about change. I want to change. This will change. Three games in a row. That's something different. Let's do it. You know what I mean?
God, I need it.
Yeah.
People think we're negative, man. Dude, I need it so bad. It's just gonna make or break my weekend so hard.
Yeah. We're not negative, we're just obsessed.
Yeah, we're obsessed too, and realistic.
All right, well, everybody, thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us in chat, and yeah, bear down, and hopefully we're doing the show next week talking about a Bears victory. So have a good night, everybody.
Take care.